that's what we're here for. So Ryan and I are going to make a start now. So I just want to, to introduce Ryan to you. So Ryan has been helping people for 17 years now and has helped thousands of people to overcome all manner of things, including autoimmune conditions and skin conditions, I believe. Is that right, Ryan?
Yep.
Because I've been following you for years and years, so I've learned some things from you as well. So right, so Ryan has his own business called Revive Yourself, and he also has a podcast with over 200 episodes called Revive Yourself with Ryan. So he's definitely the expert here. I share my knowledge, but Ryan's the one that's the expert. So,
okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, I'm very happy to be able to follow this. I'm from Belgium, so my English is not always that good. I'm from Belgium, I'm Dutch speaking, but I also speak English. But not so perfect as you, of course.
Of course, okay. All right, so we'll hand over to Ryan now then, and if I'm just going to mute you now, Sabine, and Jacqueline's on mute. There we go. And if anybody comes in, I will mute them as well. So yeah, over to you, Ryan.
Thank you for the introduction, darling. Thank you very much. And
You're welcome.
I was saying, for anyone who has questions, write them down, and we can in the chat, and we can get to them after. That's not a problem. But yeah, thank you for having me. And yeah, I'm going to just be talking about the many factors that I've seen in my experience of 17 years of helping people when it comes to autoimmune conditions. And I just wanted to give people a bit more of a background into me, so they understand where I'm coming from, because I went through my own health crisis when I was 17 to 22, and it was crippling skin issues. So what started off as a little bit of acne on my face and upper back and chest, it got far worse. So my best friend died in a car crash when I was 17, and when most people go through an issue, whether it be a physical one like a car crash, an emotional one like someone dying, a physical, mental, or a mental one, it can be something like just a lot of stress, and either one or few of those things can push the body into an advanced healing state, or it can push it into a disease state. And so the acne that I had just got far worse, to the point where it was bleeding through my shirt and my back, on my face, and then I started to develop cysts behind my ears, in my groins, in the seat of my bum. And I went to the doctors. They gave me medication. It didn't work. They gave me stronger medication in the form of antibiotics. It worked for a little bit until it didn't. And during this time I was pursuing a professional rugby career, and it was hell. These cysts were coming up. I was playing rugby and I was bleeding through my shirts. They got so bad that they turned into keloid scarring, and I don't know if people know what keloid scarring is, but it's generally seen amongst the African American or black communities. It's where your body's overhealing, and so you get nodules. So I had rubbery nodules all across my chest and back, and they were unsightly. From that moment on, I didn't take my shirt off in public for 7 years. Dating, I went from, I didn't date at all, and the medication didn't work, and so they went further and they put me on Roaccutane, which if I knew now I would never take. It's a vitamin A derivative. So bad, it poisons the liver. It's 100% chance of birth defect if a woman takes it. That's why they say you can't get pregnant on it. And yeah, it's you can't get out in the sun because you just burn with it. So I was on that, and my skin got a little bit better until I come off of it, and it just got worse again. And nothing was getting to the root cause. And from there, I was seeing a dermatologist who I was paying £250 a week to, who prescribed me steroids, oral, and also steroid injections into these keloid scars. So I was having around 100 to 150 injections in my chest and back every week with steroids. And the steroids orally, they blew me up from 77 kgs to about 98 kgs, just under 100 kgs I put on. My skin was red and blotchy. I felt terrible. I was in a very, very dark place. And as soon as I come off the steroids, all the issues come back again. I felt 10 times worse. And at this point, I said to the dermatologist, like, what are we going to do? At this point, I'd been playing rugby in different parts of the world, but I had to stop because I was in so much pain with these cysts that kept on coming as well. It got to a point where like they were getting to huge size, and then they'd burst. I'd get some relief for a few days, and then they'd come back again. I couldn't even sit on my seat or sleep. And at this point, I went to see a surgeon who said, you know, we'll cut these out. And I was like, okay, you're the boss, whatever you say. So when they had surgery, they cut them out. Everything was good for 6 weeks until, you know, shock, they come back. And they said, oh, we'll do it again. This time we'll go deeper. And so they cut them out again. Once again, everything was okay for about 6 weeks until they come back. And that's because we weren't getting to the root cause of the issue. All we were doing was masking symptoms. And, you know, I'd been to see all the doctors, all the specialists, consultants, surgeons, all these people that, you know, had crazy amount of degrees and letters behind their name, and none of them could help. And, you know, I'd gone from someone who's happy-go-lucky, very popular person at school, playing lots of sports, to someone who was now a recluse, who wouldn't really leave his house and was in so much pain I couldn't leave the couch. I was manically depressed, and I was actually suicidal, thinking, what is the point of life if this is how it's going to be? And after the second surgery, where I've had so many antibiotics and so many medications and general anaesthetic, which wipes out your gut flora, I then developed thrush of the mouth, which was one of the most painful things I've ever experienced. It was like having a knife jabbed in my mouth every time I ate. And I also had my gut completely destroyed. So if I did swallow anything, I had crippling pain in my gut. And I was just in a real bad place. And so the only thing I could actually enjoy doing at the time was watching sport. And I was watching a show called Behind the Ropes, which was a boxing show, which showed the training camps of different boxers. And David Haye, who was the former heavyweight champion of the world, he was preparing to fight Nikola Valuev, who's this giant of a man, giant Russian, 7-foot Russian guy. And David was in Miami, he was training, and I'd been around professional sports all my life. I'd got a degree in nutrition and sports science. I'd been around the Crusaders in Canterbury, who are like, you know, Man United of rugby over there. I'd been in the academy in Gloucester, and I thought I knew a lot about nutrition. Then Ruben come on, and he was talking about what he was doing with David in terms of getting his gut health right, juicing, detoxification. He was talking about probiotics, fermented foods. He was talking about clearing David's liver because of the issues he'd had. And I was like, who's this guy? I need to speak to him. So I looked him up, I found him online, I called his office, I spoke to his assistant, and she said, I'm going to pass the message on. He's away at the moment, and hopefully he'll get back to you next week. Well, he actually called me the next day after hearing my story. We spoke on the phone for about an hour. He said, look, come and see me and we'll go through a few things. So I booked an appointment with him. I went to see him. I think it was about £350 for the hour just at that time. And he opened my eyes up to a world I didn't know existed. So he was telling me why I had the issues I had that no one had told me before. In terms of my body was highly, highly toxic. He was asking me to stick out my tongue, saw candida in there. He felt my body, could see inflammation. And so he told me, like, I want you to go on this diet for me for 8 weeks. I also want you to go and see my biological doctor, who's going to run you through some tests. And he used bioresonance and other frequencies to test me, where he found remnants of the polio vaccine, Epstein-Barr virus, Coxsackie A, Coxsackie B. He found mercury, high levels of mercury poisoning, which I had from my mum, who had a mouthful of mercury and went down the placenta. And every boy, the firstborn of every mum, especially boy, they get like all of their toxins basically gets put into them. And so I followed his diet. I went and saw a biological doctor, and within 6 weeks I had basically transformed. My skin was clearing up. I'd almost completely got rid of every bit of inflammation in my body. My cysts were almost completely cleared. And then I went to see him again. He's like, brilliant, we're going to keep on doing this. We're going to give it another 4 weeks and we'll see where we're at. After 10, 12 weeks, everything had completely changed. All my cysts had gone, my acne had cleared up, my energy was back, my mood had improved, I dropped loads of body fat. And I was like, wow, how can this guy who doesn't have any of these degrees know? I mean, he'd been through something similar himself, this is why, and he'd been around and studied with people in the world. And so I was like, okay, I need to learn with this guy. And so I spent 3 years being mentored by Ruben. And whilst I was with him, I also went around the world and studied with different people in terms of gut health, detoxification. I went across America, across Europe. I went to Thailand, to India, and all the things that kept coming back were the main things, which were gut health, body being overrun with toxins, mental and emotional stress. And so I was just dove into that, and so for the last 17 years I've been helping people overcome all manner of health issues by putting these principles into place. And what I always say to people is there are no different illnesses, there are just different symptoms, which is what I want people to understand. And we've been told growing up that, oh, it's your genetics, it's bad luck. But epigenetics shows us, and it's something that the medical industry keeps on ignoring, even though we've known this for like 20, 21 years, is that it doesn't matter what your genes are. If you live a certain way, you'll never express them. But whatever your genetic weakness is, that will get exposed if you are living a life out of balance to Mother Nature and her principles. And so, we live in a super toxic, super stressful world today. And this is why we're seeing all these illnesses or symptoms, different symptoms coming up. And it's the same with autoimmune conditions. We've helped people overcome all different types of autoimmune conditions by understanding that the body would never attack itself. It's not designed that way. It's far too clever for that. What it will do though, is in this case of high level of stress, it will start to produce symptoms that are telling you, it's actually working, it's telling you that something isn't right, something's out of balance, and we have to start to put that back into balance for it to work. And so what starts out as a little issue, if you don't listen, then becomes a chronic one. And if you don't listen from there, it then becomes an advanced disease. And unfortunately, we're in a world where we're told, it's just the way we've been brought up. I was that way as well. You got an issue, you go to the doctor, they give you medication for it. And unfortunately, medication will only mask symptoms. It's why they never take you off them. They put you on stronger and stronger medication. And to the point where, then you're on steroids, and it gets to a point where they're not even strong enough. And all these things do is drive, especially when it comes to an issue like what we've got here, it just drives the issue deeper, and it just comes on because the body wants to heal, and these things are masking it, but they're also causing the body to be more toxic. Synthetic medication, it irritates the gut lining, it destroys the gut, it feeds unfriendly bacteria, it poisons the liver, the kidneys, all these things. And so this is where we're going to do things differently. And when it comes to the medical establishment, I always say, like, A&E is fantastic. Broken bones, burns, car crashes, these are the guys you want. They're phenomenal for this stuff. But when it comes to chronic illnesses, advanced diseases, things like that, they don't know, because they're not taught how to heal or get to the root cause. They're just taught, for every ill we have a pill. And it's a business model at the end of the day. They don't celebrate when their drug sales go down, only when they go up. And so this is what I want to talk to you about today. And so when it comes to Lichen Sclerosis, or I've been told, our American friends say it slightly differently, like they do with aluminium and aluminum, it's all good. I want to go into different areas that can affect the body when it comes to an autoimmune condition, and what we can do to heal the body and allow it to get into a state where it can heal. Because one of the things I've learned, any illness can be reversed by doing the opposite of what created it. okay? Like, unless you were born with a rare genetic condition, and there are people that have that, you know, if you're born with a rare genetic condition, that's one thing. But if you've been living life normally, and then all of a sudden something comes on, okay, something's happened that's caused that. And so how do we reverse it? By getting to the root cause and understanding what that was, and then we can unravel it from there. And, you know, when it comes to health, we're an holistic being, and the body summates stress. So it doesn't matter if it's come from finances, relationship, from toxins, from physical stress, it doesn't matter what it is, the body summates it. And then it will take that on, and if we don't release that stress or dissipate it, then it will turn into a chronic issue, advanced disease, and these issues will just get worse. And I understand, you know, when you've got an issue, you can take a pill. It's far easier to take a pill than it is to change your lifestyle. But, you know, we call it the pain teacher. The pain teacher will come, and unless you listen, unless you start to make changes, it will just get worse and worse and worse, to the point where you can't live life. And that's where I was at. I've been there myself. And so I don't say this from, I'm not a talking head who's never been through this. I've been through this myself, and so I understand. And when you start to implement these things, yes, it's a change in lifestyle, but, you know, your life's going to get so much better when you can start to put these things in place and get you in line with Mother Nature. So yeah, if this is all making sense, guys, just put like a 1 in the chat for you guys that are here. You know, just put a 1 in the chat, just because well, this is all making sense, everyone can hear. I'm just going to go diving into a few different issues, and I'm going to go into diet, detoxification, but I'm also going to the nervous system. I'm going to go into gut healing, advanced detoxification. Perfect. Cool. Awesome, guys. Cool. Just like to give you a bit of a background so you know, there's a lot of people out there that are just talking heads and they've been through any of it themselves. And I always say, if I can do it, anyone can do it. Because I was the person who used to just love a cup of tea, ham sandwich, you know, a few biscuits. And now it's not something that I have so much anymore. Because I just understand what it does to my body. And once you go through a health issue like this, your constitution's been weakened. And so, yeah, your gut health is going to be massively intertwined with this. And so once you have a weakened constitution, just what people say, oh, you know, I know someone who smoked 60 cigarettes and drank 5 cans of beer a day and they're fine. Brilliant, you know, strong constitution, they can get away with it. Until one day, they can't. You know, and one day it's either something happens that's a bigger, like something happens that pushes them over the edge, like I said before, emotional, chemical or physical issue. Someone dies, it pushes their body into that stress response, or it's just gradual, you know, slowly catch your monkey, dripping water eats through stone, until one day their constitution can't deal with it anymore, bang, and then some people go straight into advanced disease. And so right, guys, so one of the things when it comes to healing and our world is our nervous system, and it's something that's been talked about a lot more today. But your nervous system, your central nervous system is very, really important when it comes to allowing your body to heal. Because if your body is in a state of fight and flight, so you've probably heard of like rest and digest, fight and flight. You've got your parasympathetic system, which is where you can restore. And it's a system we're meant to be in 85, 90, 95% of the day. So your body can rejuvenate, it can rest, it can restore, it can rebalance. And then you've got your sympathetic system, your fight or flight. And we used to only be in this when we were, you know, maybe hunting something, trying to catch it, or running away from something. But in today's world, where we are just, you know, everyone's in a rush, people are stressed, trying to do everything for everyone, dopamine constantly on our phones, etc., the news spreading fear, all these things. Our nervous systems, most people are in fight and flight the majority of the time. Now, we're in complete reversal, we've done a 180. And so if that's the case, how can our bodies heal, rest, restore, rejuvenate if they're constantly in fight and flight? So this is why it's really important to understand how you can allow your nervous system to get into that parasympathetic state, okay? And oftentimes when it comes to autoimmune conditions, it's your body signaling imbalance. So it's time for us to listen and say, look, I hear you, something's out of balance. I want to support you. I want to regulate. I want to restore. Rather than thinking, my body's broken or it's traumatized or whatever's going on, it's not working. think like, no, my body's really working. When you have a skin issue or an autoimmune condition or cancer, or whatever it is, your body's speaking to you and it's saying, look, something's out of balance, we need to get back into balance. And regulating the nervous system is one of the first things that we can do, because if we're on high alert all the time, the body's constantly seeking, it's never going to have time to rest and restore and repair. It just can't. You can't digest your food when you're in that state as well. That's why so many people got gut issues, gas, wind, pain, bloating, pain when they eat. They fall a lot because their body is never in a state to actually digest food. They're watching TV when they're eating on the go, or they're just constantly worrying about things. They haven't got any time for stillness. So teaching yourself to slow down, especially as a female, which is something I'm going to get into a bit later, but especially as a female, because men and women aren't the same. As much as the world tries to tell you that we are, we're not. Adam, Eve, sun, moon, you know, and getting you to calm your system down is super important. So, you know, ideally we should be in our parasympathetic system, our rest and digest 90% of the time. And so things you can do to calm the CNS, you know, very simple. One of the things to do is just to do one thing at a time. You're going to relax your system. Okay, I'm going to do one thing at a time rather than trying to multitask. And research shows that when we multitask, nothing ever gets done as well as it would if you did it one thing at a time. Also, when your system is constantly in fight or flight, you're burning through your reserves. So your body's only got a certain amount of reserves, and this is why when we're constantly in this, we're getting so many people ill now as well, because their body's not got this time to rest and restore. So one thing at a time. Another thing, if you feel yourself very, very stressed, maybe irritable, is you can do a double inhale. You may have seen this before, but it's a breath in through your nose as much as you can, then a bit more, then a long exhale. So it looks something like this. Okay, you can try that yourself. Inhale, bit more, and then out. I mean, I can feel myself being calmer just from doing that. If you do that 3 to 4 times, you're going to relax yourself. Something you can do before you eat food, deep breaths, calm your system down, okay? Really important. Eye movements as well, because when we're in our fight and flight, we're very narrow focused. So taking your fingers and just looking side to side at your thumbs, going side to side. You can do it up and down. Humming is another good one as well, because it stimulates our vagal nerve. So you have a vagal nerve that goes from gut all the way to brain. And when people are constantly in their fight and flight, they lose their vagal tone. So vagal tone, when it's weak, it means you don't go into a parasympathetic, you rest and digest. So humming, anything hum, you can hum your favourite song, whatever it is, for 3 minutes. Also, you can rub on this part of your neck, okay? Things that you can do just to calm your system down. You can even give yourself a little cuddle. I feel safe. Okay, I feel safe. I am relaxed. Simple things, okay? Taking micro breaks throughout your day. I'm going to have a little rest. I'm just going to go and sit in stillness. No phone. Just sit in stillness. You can relax your jaw as well. Just let your jaw hang. Just let your jaw hang. Sleep is super important for, you know, regulating the nervous system and even healing the body. No screens before bed, you know, no blue light, 1 to 2 hours before bed. Very important. Sleep is so important that you can throw herbs and anything at people, but you'll never regulate your system if you're not getting a good night's sleep. And so preparing for sleep, if you can get red bulbs in your house, if you can get candles unscented so you're not in that blue light at night, if you can turn the TV off, you can journal. If you need to, you can take something like magnesium glycinate to calm your system down. All these things are great. Another thing you can do for your CNS, spend time in nature. Okay, it's very grounding. Take your shoes off, go for a walk on the grass or the beach if you can, if the weather's right, if the time of year is right. Spend time with loved ones, very important. Community is really important for the nervous system, feeling safe. And doing things that bring you joy, okay? I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time you did something that brought you joy? If you haven't done anything for a while, it's very important, whether it be, you know, whatever it may be, if it's going shopping, if it's going doing pottery class, if it's going doing yoga, whatever it may be, drawing, colouring in, doesn't matter what it is. These are all important for your CNS and having time for stillness. I want you to start thinking about queen energy. Everything you do is queen energy. From today, moving on, this is not like, oh, I'm a king, a queen, like all that like nonsense that's going around today. I'm talking about how does the king move and how does the queen move through life. They're slow, they're deliberate, they're precise. They don't rush, they take their time with everything, one thing at a time. They don't need to rush because they're the king, they're the queen. This is how I want you to go through your day. If you see your mind racing or doing many things, no, I'm coming back to it. One thing at a time, I'm taking time, I don't rush. Okay guys, is all that landing? Is all that making sense? This is going to allow your system, your CNS, put one in the comments if it's all making sense, because this is going to allow your CNS, the nervous system, to get into that parasympathetic state, okay? Breath work's another one. I've mentioned a double inhale, but we can do box breathing, so 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds out, 4 seconds hold, okay? Or 4, 7, 8, 4 in, 7 hold, 8 out. The out breath is always longer than the in breath in that one, so it just tells the system to calm. Okay, hopefully this is all making sense. This is like the fundamentals. Perfect. Yeah, fight or flight, high cortisol levels, 100%. All of that comes. It's all that's intertwined. Okay. The other thing, guys, when it comes to this is our diet. You know, there's certain foods and food groups that are highly allergenic, highly inflammatory, and they cause inflammation in the gut. They feed on unfriendly bacteria, parasites, they're toxic to the body. And so just removing these foods are I've seen, in my course I've got a 21-day health reset process, and we go deeper, but the 21 days is where we eliminate certain foods, you start to add in certain foods. But the results that I see from people just during this 21 days is actually mind-blowing, because once you start to take out, it's addition by subtraction. So once you start to take out the things that cause issues, it's amazing how the body can heal. So I mentioned gluten, wheat, soy, pasteurized dairy, but I'd start with all dairy. Caffeine, caffeine, unless you're drinking organic coffee, even then it's not good for you. But even if you're drinking organic coffee, it's the most sprayed crop in the world. You know, you cannot move on a coffee plantation for the amount of bugs, and they spray it heavily. Even then, for women, it's massively drying. It's yin as well. It's what the Native Americans called empty fire. It gives you the illusion of energy rather than actual energy which comes internally, and it throws your hormones out of balance. It puts you in your limbic system, so it once again puts you into your fight and flight system. It decreases oxygen blood flow to the brain by 40% within the first 20 minutes of drinking it. There's a great book out there called Caffeine Blues, you should read it. And so instead you can have like a cacao drink or a mushroom blend instead. And so wheat, gluten, soy, pasteurized dairy, caffeine, seed and vegetable oils, alcohol. If you can remove them, it's going to be a game changer. You know, just removing processed foods from your diet and things like allergenic and inflammatory. I always say, single ingredient foods, steak is steak, potatoes are potatoes, spinach is spinach. And if you read anything on the label and you can't pronounce it, it shouldn't be going in your body. Keep it 6-year-old simple. Something very easy to remember. If your 6-year-old can't say it, it shouldn't be going in your body. So hopefully this is all making sense, because these foods, once you start to inflame the gut, then it just puts inflammation around the body. Anything inflammation comes out through the skin. And remember, your skin is a reflection of your internal health, okay? So what's going on inside your body starts to come out in your skin. And if your body is highly toxic and your detoxification pathways aren't open, then it will start to push it out of the skin and cause inflammation of the skin. And as well, then you'll start to have issues like itching, can be burning, etc., things like this. So think about your skin as an internal job. Okay, what you do internally reflects externally. This is also when we're going to gut healing. So if you've never gone through a detoxification process before, I highly recommend it. Now, one of the reasons for that is, if I said to you, You know, imagine you didn't clean your house for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. How would it look? Most people will be like, oh my God. And imagine that in your body, all the things you've put in your body over these years. We live in a highly toxic world. I said before, it's not the same as it was even 80 years ago. You know, volatile organic compounds, there's over 100,000 industrial toxins in the air. Your carpet in the house, you know, your air in the house is 10 times more toxic than the air outside the house. Things are off-gassing all the time. Plastic is everywhere. Atrazine's in the water supply. You know, people are eating a credit card of plastic a week. That's what the research has shown. This massively throws off your hormones, endocrine disruptors, people wearing polyester underwear on their genitals, around, and we can go deep into this. And so this is where we have to clear the body. And so healing your gut is the first step, because if we start to try and detoxify things when the gut's not healed, then things will go through the gut lining into the bloodstream. It causes more issues. Okay, so if you've got leaky gut, it means that the gut lining's been broken by toxins, allergenic foods, antibiotics, medication. Gut lining opens up, food or allergens go through, goes into the bloodstream, boom. That's where you get an autoimmune condition as well, because the body thinks it's under attack. And so we have to heal the gut lining first. Things like aloe vera, slippery elm bark, L-glutamine, bone broth. Okay, taking out your allergenic foods, putting these in for a period of time allows the gut lining to heal. And once it's healed, then things aren't going to go through into the bloodstream, but also things can get removed, okay, properly. And we've got, men have got 4, women for a certain period of time have got 5 ways of removing toxins. We've got breath, sweat, urine and stool. Women also have their menstrual cycle, bloodletting once a month for a certain period of their life. It's one of the reasons why women live longer, because they're clearing toxins out of the system more than men. It's why the studies have showed the finish. You know, they take saunas 5 to 7 days a week. They live on average 7 years longer. One of the things is, you know, they're clearing many more toxins out of their system, as well as their way of life. So this is important, healing the gut. Okay, and then changing the internal terrain of your body. So your internal terrain is your gut health, your microbiome. So we've actually got more neurons in our gut than we have in our brain and spinal cord combined. Our gut is our epicenter, super important. It's where all health and disease, you know, begins. And so if you have an unhealthy microbiome, if you have an imbalance in friendly and unfriendly bacteria, a lot of people do, it's called a gut dysbiosis. Also don't have enough HCl or enzymes to break down food, you have an issue. And so what we're doing here is we're looking to create a healthy environment. Think of it like gentrifying a city. Okay, we remove a lot of the bad guys. We need some to stay to keep the good guys honest. So we need about 15% bad guys, 85% good. So we start to build a healthy microbiome, and that's by putting in good quality foods, a variety of foods, but also then things like probiotics or probiotic rich liquids, fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, and we start to allow that internal terrain to go. Another thing that can kill off good bacteria faster than anything is excessive stress. It just destroys bacteria. So things like, I mentioned, breath work, meditation, calming your system down, stillness, super important. Okay, guys? Is all this still making sense? Let me know. Kefir, yeah, adding kefir can be good. Walking with your dog, or pain, yeah. If walking with your dog is painful at the moment, then wait until you feel that you can actually do that without pain. And so there's things you can do like qigong or tai chi, which is like a moving meditation, which allows us to build up that life force in the body. That's another powerful tool that we can use, qigong or tai chi. And kefir can be very good as long as it's raw. We don't want anything pasteurized. When you pasteurize stuff, you kill it, you heat it to such an extent that it dies. And the mainstream will tell you that it's for a reason. It's actually to increase the shelf life, so it's better for profits. But kefir can be good if you can tolerate dairy. Okay, so just make sure that your body's able to tolerate dairy. And I'd say when you're going through a cleansing period, I'd stay away from dairy for that period of time, and then later on you can add it in and see how your body does. You can even put a little bit on your skin and see if you get a reaction. If you don't, you know, all good. So once we've done this, what we can do is we can go into advanced detoxification, guys, okay? Now this is really, really important. So most people have no idea the amount of toxins that are in their body. and how bad, how bad things have got, just because of the world we live in. But you know, the animals, if you're not eating organic food, the animals are allowed to be fed things they can't legally feed you. So you can feed animals things like plastic pellets, sawdust, rendered food. Have a look into rendered food, see what that is, okay? They can feed them waste. And, you know, animals get sold for how fat they are, not how healthy they are. And the body's very clever. It wraps toxins in fat because it doesn't want these toxins to destroy the nervous system or the brain. The nervous system, or any of the systems. And so when you're eating those animals that have been fed, you know, even GMO corn and plastic pellets, sawdust, rendered food, you're then eating those toxins yourself. And so organic, where you can, when it comes to animals, is highly advised. Really highly advised. And it's the same when it comes to, you know, vegetables. The amount of pesticides that are sprayed, yes, organic, they use some, but it's nowhere near the amount that's used on conventional vegetables. And things like glyphosate, which completely destroys your gut bacteria. Glyphosate, pesticides, herbicides, larvicides, insecticides, rodenticides. You put that on vegetables and fruit, and then you're eating it, what do you think happens to your body? The co-op, there's actually a video on YouTube called The Co-op Effect, organic, and it shows a family, once they started eating organic food compared to conventional food, after 1 week, how much their toxic report dropped. Is crazy. But that was just in the bloodstream. Then you've got to remember the toxins that go into your muscles, and into your things like your brain, your ligaments, etc. And so this is where detoxification is super important. So we go through an order of colon, liver, kidneys, heavy metals, and parasites. Excuse me. Now, most people have never cleared their colon, and when they do, they see things called mucoid plaque, which is also referred to as a black snake of death, come out. And this is your entron from your mouth to your anus is 22 foot to 44 foot. And throughout your life, if you've never cleared your colon, then you'll be amazed at what can come out. And it's important to do it in this order, because if we start putting things out of the body like heavy metals or parasites before we've given our actual detoxification pathways the opportunity to be clear, then it can cause big issues. This is why people start putting out heavy metals or parasites, and they go through severe die-off symptoms, or it's extremely painful. Die-off is where your body is detoxifying too fast, or it's releasing, your toxins are just getting recirculated because you can't clear them, amongst other things. And so it's important to clear the colon, because unless the colon's clear, you know, things won't be able to move through that passage. After that comes the liver. Now, the liver is our battery of life, and most people's is actually functioning, research shows, at 10 to 20% of its optimal capacity. Now, especially for men, it's super important for digestion as well. It doesn't actually clear toxins, it turns toxins into molecules we can excrete. And if that's backed up, you know, you can see what comes out of people. Some people are so backed up that when I do a liver cleanse with them, they don't even clear liver stones and gallstones for the first 2 flushes, and then once they do the second, third time, the amount that comes out is incredible. And so livers are also related to anger and stress. So the more stressed we are, the more the organ feels it, the more anger and resentment we build up. But then it's also linked to so many other things when it comes to our hormones and balancing that. And women today, you know, there's so many things that men as well today, but women for a long period of time have been putting on their skin in terms of fragrances, lotions, moisturizers, body washes, shampoos, and having things like bath bombs. All these things are just loaded with chemicals, okay? And the liver bears the brunt of that. And so having a clear liver is super important, and eliminating those things is important, which we'll go on to. But clearing the liver, it allows for the body to start, actually, it's amazing what can happen. People's eyes get brighter, their skin brightens, their energy clears, and their brain fog goes away. Skin issues just clear up. It's like, oh my God, the liver can actually start to work properly. Then we go kidneys. Once again, kidneys are very important for digestion as well. They're another super important organ. Then heavy metals. People don't understand the amount of heavy metals that are actually in their body today, just from eating foods, fish, cereal. If you eat cereal, I want you to go and get a magnet next time you're in it, and put it next to the cereal packet and see how much metal comes out of that cereal packet. So heavy metals are super important. This is why people have parasites as well, because parasites initially go there to help the body clean. They actually eat the metals, but then they keep on coming, and then you get an infestation. That's the issue. And so heavy metal detoxification, clearing the body from that, because heavy metals also have a propensity for the brain. And these all affect the body, because the body can't heal and can't be healthy when it has all these toxins in. So heavy metals, and then parasites. And parasites, you know, they've been linked to every single health issue. So much research now shows that they are like the reasons, they are the tumour in cancers, they're the parasitic sac. MS has been shown, the nodules have been parasite sacs. They are just linked to so many health issues. When it comes to skin issues, cravings, nightmares, grinding teeth, vaginal discharge, it can be literally anything, gut, IBS, constipation. It's crazy. So clearing parasites out of the body, and there's not one person that I haven't done a parasite cleanse with that hasn't released parasites. So they're in there, and you're going to have some parasites that work in synergy with us, but there's others that come in and they take over, and they feed off you, your life force, and then they lead to other issues. So the more we can clear the body of toxins, the better, guys. Okay, hopefully this is making sense. Other things we can do are saunas. We've been getting there for 1 to 2 times a week. Very, very important. Epsom salt baths or detox baths. You can put things like Epsom salts in there, and then binders. Binders are another way of clearing toxins, guys. Things like zeolite, diatomaceous earth, citrus pectin, charcoal, etc. Having them on an empty stomach, nothing 60 minutes before or afterwards. These things allow us to bind onto toxins and pull them out of the body, okay? So they're important. And then removing things, as I mentioned before, like fragrances, shampoos, body lotions, bath bombs, scented candles, air fresheners. You know, instead you can use clean options. Instead of fragrances, you can use essential oils. You know, shampoos, find shampoos without phthalates, BPA's in them, okay, carcinogenic ingredients. You can find clean ones. Moisturizers, you can use tallow-based ones, coconut oil-based ones. You can use things like emu oil or rosea moscata. Those are things you can use naturally that aren't loaded with endocrine disruptors. Because the more your hormones are out of balance, this is going to influence your skin as well, okay? So you can use them instead. Green people have got some really good shampoos as well. Deodorant's another one, guys. Steer clear of this, because all of this, it just loads your body up and it affects your nervous system. And the more your nervous system is out of balance, then these issues, autoimmune conditions, take hold, okay? It's the same with the clothes that you're wearing, guys. If you're washing your clothes in conventional detergent, you are putting toxins in your body every single day. They're seeping into your skin. If you're washing your bed sheets in them, you're sleeping in toxins, okay? Then that's around your genitals. Your underwear is around your genitals with these toxins. If you're using tampons that are loaded with fragrances, that's around your genitals, very bad. Polyester underwear, that's leaching into your system. It means you don't sweat. You've got plastic leaching into your areas, okay, your private areas. So cotton, organic cotton underwear, super important. You can wash your clothes with things like Dr. Bronner's has a very has a great soaps. You can use that for yourself. You know, you can use it on your clothes. You're going to take away the chemicals that are going to irritate this, okay? Because anything that is inflamed, chemicals are just going to make it worse, okay? So these are things that we can do to remove the toxins. Other things that we can do topically. So raw apple cider vinegar has been shown to be very beneficial with this. Castor oil, aloe vera. If you can go and get an aloe vera plant and just slice it in half, and you can just rub the gel over your inflamed parts. It's super soothing, okay? You allow it to heal. Vitamin E oil is great. So is camu. In fact, a blend that you can make is, you can have a coconut oil or tallow base, and then you can blend in some MSM, which is sulfur. You can blend in some camu, which is a vitamin C, very anti-inflammatory. You can mix in some aloe vera in there. You can mix in some emu oil. All this is very, very powerful. You can make your own blend, and you can put it over the area, okay, because it's going to soothe and heal and allow it it's massively anti-inflammatory, okay. So yeah, as I mentioned before, anyone really avoid polyester, avoid fragrances, avoid tampons, conventional tampons, even toilet paper, scented toilet paper. If you're wiping yourself down there with scented and fragranced toilet paper, it's just going to cause inflammation. It's just going to exaggerate things. These are things that most people don't even think about, okay? So I want you to start thinking about this, everything you put on your body. So it's moving back into Mother Nature's principles, guys. I always talk about this, you know, there's no animals in the wild with autoimmune conditions, seeing them with PCOS or endometriosis or whatever it is. These are modern issues. The only animals that are ill are those in are in human captivity. And so just think about this. And the other things I wanted to mention there, when it comes to this hormonally, you know, if your hormones are out of balance, getting them into balance. I mentioned before the nervous system, which is super important in terms of slowing down, because so many women are living like a male in a female's body, okay? And so I always like to say, we are different, you know. Men, we're disposable. We go to war, we hunt, we die. Without you guys, we have no society, we have no tribe. You are the crown jewels. You can create life, we can't. Okay, it's why we're different. Women are not meant to be everything a man is. They're meant to be everything a man isn't. And this whole society of like modern feminism and boss babe and all these things where women are going out there and they're pushing super hard, and some women can get away with it, but the majority of women, eventually they hit a wall, they burn out. And I've dealt with so many women like this. We call it rushing women syndrome. They come to me with ovarian cyst, endometriosis, uterine cancer, heavy bleeds, or some sort of autoimmune condition. And the key is they're in an excess of yang, yin and yang, is to get them back into yin, back into their feminine energy, slowing down, you know, getting enough sleep, sitting in stillness, being creative. And so polarity, remember, the sun and the moon, fire and water, Adam and Eve, getting back into Mother Nature's principles, getting to slow down, breathe, okay? Calm the system. Because if you have your foot on the accelerator of the car, you know, eventually the fuel runs out, and it's what farmers call brownout. It's too much sun. Too much sun and not enough water, what happens? You have drought. And so it's super important to get you back into that. And I always say, men are like pickup trucks. You can flog us to pieces, and eventually one day we break down, but it takes a long time. Whereas women, you guys are more like Ferraris. You know, you look fantastic. You know, but you're highly tuned because you have the special capability of creating life. And so you need enough energy, life force, nutrition on board to create life. And you also need it to sustain your hormonal profile. Okay, and this is where getting back into balance and back into that yin is really important. Okay, so understanding that. Okay, hopefully this is all making sense, guys. I know it goes against a lot of what the mainstream says, but this is what I've seen in my 17 years of working with people, and you know, we've got results in so many doctors and consultants haven't been able to. One of the other issues I wanted to talk about, guys, was also hormonally, just to move on to that, getting yourself in balance hormonally with blood sugar. So first of all, the liver is super important with that. So healing the liver, cleansing the liver is really important hormonally, because it's generally been overworked, overburdened, and that means that it can't clear toxins, and then it has issues of excess estrogen, and then progesterone doesn't get produced enough. So it's really important. Also, is stabilizing your blood sugar, so making sure you're getting enough good quality protein in your meals, keeping your blood sugar stable. And a lot of people, especially women, when they go through these issues, they feel that they're up and down, the energy's up and down. If you notice that your thyroid's out of balance, if your hands and feet are too cold, if your hands and feet go numb or they're cold, if your body's not very hot, if you feel full for a long time, you have trouble digesting food. What's some of the other ones? Yeah, maybe even constipation. You know, you may be going to thyroid issues, and so stabilizing your blood sugar, bringing you back into the yin balance, making sure you have protein, slowing down is super important. Okay, and cleaning the body out, removing these toxins. Now, I'm going to go into just another area here, which is metaphysical, which is an area that I've seen with so many men and women, which has a massive impact on the body. And when this isn't dealt with, then things can keep on coming up, because we can do a lot physically, but if the mind continues to have a story that it's replaying, it can put you into an allergenic or inflammatory response. So anything that brings you joy is anti-inflammatory, and peace is anti-inflammatory. But anything that brings you stress is inflammatory. And so I'm going to give you an example. Like with UTIs, yes, there can be a bacterial issue. Yes, it can be down to toxins, but also I've found with a lot of women that have repetitive UTI issues, there's been some sort of shame around sexual shame, or maybe even some sort of sexual abuse that's happened in their past. And so the body starts to, because the nervous system doesn't feel safe, it starts to protect itself by having constant infections, so that person cannot have sex, okay, or sexual intercourse, or be intimate, because it doesn't feel safe. And so once we dive into that and break through those stories, it's amazing how the body feels safe and these issues go away, okay, because the body's very, very clever like that. It will start to put things in place, or the mind's so clever. You know, they've done studies on things where, this is how clever the mind is, guys, you know, or how important the mind is. They've told people they're going for life-changing surgery. These people have been ill for 10, 20 years. They've had maybe knee injury, back injury. They've got some sort of illness. They've told them they're going in for surgery. They put them under. They bring them back out. They've told them that the surgery's gone well, everything's good, and they come out and the people are healed. The only thing is, they never actually performed the surgery. They just told them they did, they didn't. So the mind thought that the surgery was done, and their injuries and illnesses went away, okay? So this is how important the mind is. There's something called the placebo effect, which you probably know, and the nocebo effect, where if you think you can get ill, you will. If you think you're getting ill, you will. You bring it on. And so when it comes to this, when it comes to the skin, or even autoimmune condition, metaphysically, that can be a lot of repetitive negative or unloving thoughts to the body and oneself. And so one of the things, if you look into the work of Louise Hay and Yvette Rose, they talk about if someone constantly is giving negative or unloving thoughts in their body, that how the cells know not to attack themselves, because they feel like the body's in a constant state of fear and attack. And so one of the things that you can start to maybe say in the mirror or write down is, I feel safe in my body, I can express who I am. I can express who I am with ease, and it's just that energy, okay? And the other thing metaphysically that we've looked into when it comes to these issues with autoimmune is women, as I mentioned before, almost being at war with themselves. You know, the conflict between achievement in today's world and also that call to stillness. And so allowing yourself to slow down, so saying, I can slow down, I'm allowed to slow down, I'm allowed to feel soft, I'm allowed to feel like me. So these are the things, I'm allowed to be in my feminine energy, it's okay for me to slow down, it's okay for me not to achieve, okay? So it's just that internal war. Now the skin also is an expression of identity and self-love, and actually being seen, hidden and shame. And so a lot of the time the skin will bring up things because it's trying to protect ourselves. And if you feel in that area that there's shame in that area, it happens with men as well. This is why a lot of the time genital warts and things like that, they're not actually a virus, they're actually shame that comes out because someone slept with someone that they shouldn't have done, and that shame comes out, that guilt. When they go away and do the work mentally, emotionally, these things disappear. You may not have heard this before, but I've seen it many times. And so when it comes to this issue, if you have any shame, or if you've had any sexual abuse or emotional abuse in that area, it can lead to having autoimmune condition come up in that area, that energy flowing through. So I'd invite you to dive into that and see if there's anything to unpack there, okay? Emotional release, to release any fear or shame or any separation from yourself in that part of your body, okay? You know, studies also show that 70% of sexual diseases in the genital areas are actually linked to Christianity, especially when it comes to females, because of the amount of shame around that area. And so that this is something, I don't know if it's hitting with any of you, resonating with any of you, but just have a look into that. And there's things you can say to yourself like, thank you, body, for protecting me. You're safe. I will nourish you. I will allow you to feel safe in this area. Okay, you can, maybe you need to talk to a therapist or do some work, whatever it is. This is an area to dive into. Okay, so really, guys, it all comes down to allowing the body to get out of a hyper-inflamed state, bringing you back to center, Mother Nature's principles, removing toxins, healing yourself internally, and stop putting on or exposing yourself to things that are going to cause inflammation or an allergenic response. Your environment's super important as well, guys. Okay, if you want to heal at night, if you want a good night's sleep, I really suggest turn your Wi-Fi off at night. Research has showed the body, your brain cannot detoxify, the lymphatic system cannot detoxify at night. When the Wi-Fi is on, if your brain, it's your lymphatic system, it can't detoxify your lymphatic system, you can't clear toxins, that's a big issue. So turn your Wi-Fi off at night. If you're cooking in things like Teflon pans, I highly suggest removing them, going to stainless steel, glass or ceramic, opening up your area in your house, letting that in, and then getting back into balance with Mother Nature. And so yeah, these are the things I just want to touch on with you guys today. Hopefully they've made sense, and it's resonated in some capacity. And so just getting back to Mother Nature's principles, it's going to be huge. And as I said before, it's no surprise with these modern illnesses in the modern world, because we're living in like an artificial world, a highly toxic one. And so when we get back into balance, these things will disappear. Yep. I don't know if anyone's got any questions. What about, I'll have a look, got in here. I used to make, water kefir. Yeah, so coconut water kefir is one of the best things. It's phenomenal. Yes, it does come with the added issue that you may have a few explosions coming up. That just shows you it's alive. When kefir or fermented foods, I used to work for a nutritional company called Red 23. We used to open some and hit the roof, and because it was just so alive, so much pressure. So yeah, but you can just slowly release the valve or the tension, the lid, and it should come off. Someone said, what do you think about IF, intermittent fasting? It can be very beneficial as a tool, but a lot of times it gets overused by people and abused, and it leads to metabolic imbalance, slowing down. And so for women, especially going through this, I want your nervous system to feel safe, because it can be an added stressor. So I'd much rather you have a consistent diet of nutrients that are being fed into the body and keeping your blood sugar stable. But it can be used as a tool, very, very good. But just for a lot of people as well, it's a lot easier for them not to eat than it is to eat a little amount. I understand that. But when we're trying to teach the nervous system to be calm, it needs safety, it needs regulation, it needs to feel secure. And so going long periods of time without food can be detrimental to this. Spirulina is good for detoxification, yes. Organic, not from China. I tried. Yeah, you tried diatomaceous earth for detox, but it felt really bad. Yeah, you can get a detox reaction with that. And so, if you go through a die-off, there's things you can do which you can pull back a little bit. You can have more water. You can go in a detoxification bath, or you can add. If you're having a lot, I should say, if you started to pull toxins out, sometimes you actually maybe even need to have more, because you just need to bind onto more because they're recirculating in your system. So I'd need to see what you were doing before that. And blood sugar, fruit. Yeah, fruit's fine. As long as you're not going OTT on it, fruit's fine. If you want to make sure it's stable, you can have a little bit of protein with it as well. But fruit's fine. Yeah, just don't go ham on it. Fruit, vitamins, minerals, enzymes, phytonutrients, water, it's coming from God, coming from the trees, very different to, processed sugar. But if you want to stabilise, you can have it with some protein. Yes, if you're living next to if you're living next to a golf course or a non-organic farm, they've shown like non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, cancer, MS all go through the roof because you're just being laced with chemicals. And so I would highly suggest if you can move, or detox. So I was going to mention, I do have mentioned Myrna earlier on, I do have a course called my Top Health Revival course, which will, if you want any information how to do this, guys, and be walked through this step by step, I have a course which will take you through this, everything you need, nutritionally, detoxification wise, environmentally. If you need work mentally, emotionally, that's what Myrna's here for, she can help you with that. But my course will take you through everything if you need, and it'll give you the exact protocols to follow, supplements to take, etc. Sleeping pills, sleep, GABA, melatonin. Was that medication or was that supplements? The things you can take: GABA, melatonin, magnesium glycinate or glycine as well can be very good. It can be very good. I can get you a link for my course, no problem. I think I'll see if I can get it. But if you're taking medication, just be careful because synthetic medication is very different to natural supplements. And also, we want to ideally get you to the point where you don't need them. But if you need a little kickstart and to come off, then you can do that. Supplements. Okay, that's cool. With melatonin, you've got slow release and long release as well. Slow release and quick release as well. And so, I would, if you're having trouble falling asleep, quick release. If you want to stay asleep, slow release, if you need them. It's all good, Myrna?
Yes. Yeah, all good.
Perfect.
Very good. Thank you.
No worries.
So I have got some questions from a lady. I've got it here.
Yeah.
So she asked, she's got 3 questions. What's your opinion on borax and castor oil?
Borax is good. Borax is good. Is she talking about topically for putting it on, or is she talking about internally? Do you know?
I don't know for sure. I know most people put it in their bath, or they use it in other ways, like just have soaks in it. They find different ways to use it.
Yeah.
Some people do take it as well.
Yeah, perfect. So internally, both of them, castor oil internally is actually, it's like a detoxification agent. It can just clear the bowels. You can use it for that if you want. It's very powerful. They've used it in Ayurvedic medicine for a long time in India. Some of them take it once a month to clear the bowels. It can also be used though topically as well. Topically it can be very soothing for this. And borax as well. Both actually can be soothing, and internally can create a healthy environment. So both are good. I'd use them. One of the things I'd say though, none of these supplements are magic bullets. So if you're using that but you're having a toxic diet or an inflammatory diet, they're not going to outdo the inflammation caused by the diet you're eating. But if you add them on top of doing an anti-inflammatory diet, clean the body, then they're going to be great. But they need to have the right environment to be as beneficial as possible, if that makes sense.
Okay. And her next question was, what can be done about tearings near the perineum?
So tearings in the perineum. So for tearings, well, once again, I'd say put in a combination of the combination I mentioned would be very, very powerful for that. Especially the MSM, the camu, the vitamin E oil, that will allow to nourish and strengthen. And anything in there that's allowing us to nourish that area will be powerful for that. You can have a combination. I would see what works best. Anything we can do to reduce inflammation and reduce soreness will allow it to allow the blood flow to come back in as well. And so in terms of a nourishing flow, I'm trying to think, it may be even as well. One of the things that they used to do in tribes, I'm just thinking about this, you could maybe even do, so you've got detox baths, which would be powerful for that, okay, in there. You can even put clay around the area, okay, so clay can draw out any toxins. One of the things they used to do in tribes, Dr. Weston A. Price, phenomenon. His book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration, is like the nutrition almanac. They used to put kefir around the area, on the nipples for baby to suckle, but also around the vagina to create a healthy vaginal area, vaginal tract, and also around the vulva, etc. And so anything we can do to nourish it is going to be, it's going to strengthen it. Okay, so healthy skin, it will come internally as well, so the more healthy you are internally, it will reflect it. The less inflamed you are internally, that will reflect it. But putting things on, as I mentioned before, the MSM, the vitamin E oil, the camu, coconut oil, tallow, but then I'd even say clay and even kefir you can try on that to strengthen.
And I'd like to add, if you don't mind, colloidal silver gel.
Oh, yeah.
So mix it 50-50 with aloe vera, and I like to add tea tree and
tea tree.
And it is the most amazing thing for very quickly healing, soothing, but also very quickly healing.
Perfect, yeah. Colloidal silver, very good. Yeah. Yeah, they've got colloidal silver gel. Yeah, that's good. And yeah, aloe vera is phenomenal. So, like, it's if you put that on a couple of times a day, it's amazing what you can do in terms of reducing inflammation and soreness and strengthening. But remember, what we're aiming to do as well is to get to the root cause of this. So things topically are great for like acute stress and reduce that inflammation and that pain. But to reverse this, you have to get to the root of it. And remember, this isn't random, it's not bad luck, it's come because something's out of balance. And so by getting to the root cause of it, that's how we're going to get rid of it for good.
I've just realised I didn't press record.
Oh no? Okay. That's a shame.
Can it not be saved? Is there no way I can save it?
No, I don't think so. That's alright.
Oh, how disappointing.
No worries. Maybe I have to do one again.
Yes.
I have good quality.
I'm so annoyed with myself now.
I thought we pressed it, but it doesn't matter. How?
Do you know what? I didn't in that moment because we were still talking.
Right.
I'll do it in a minute.
Yeah. No problem. Oh dear, so sorry for you. How much from each? You can do. It depends. Well, I'd say half a teaspoon. The coconut oil will be the carrier oil, so you can put more in that, and then you can just put. I'd have to see how much you're making, but I'd say 5 ml of each would be good. Just have like an even amount of each into a carrier oil, and that would be perfect.
Well, then the other question, and although she's not going to hear this now because I can't share it, but the other question was, do you believe that it's possible to have a normal sex life again?
Oh yeah, 100%. If you can heal from anything, then yeah, sex life will be absolutely fine. Yeah. Once you start to heal this, the inflammation goes down. Yeah, it's honestly, once you start to believe, you need to believe you can heal. So that's a really important part. If you don't believe you can heal, the body never will. So understanding that you can heal, that you can go back to normal, is a super important part of the process. That I said, those that think they can't heal likely never will. So those that know they can heal, the body will heal. It's just, you need to be given the right circumstances to do so. And so when it's healed, it'll be like it was before. And so yeah, you just have to understand that that's the process that you go through. I'm trying to find a link for the course because I can't find it, but I can send it over to you if anyone's interested at another time. But hopefully people got something from this anyway, darling.
Well, I hope you ladies here have got something from this.
I actually have this recorded on my camera.
With myself.
It's all right. I've got this.
Recorded.
I recorded it from this view, so you can. I can send it to you, and you can put it in a group if you want.
Thank you. A million thank yous.
No worries. It's not. It's from a side angle though, but it's fine though.
That's okay. That's okay. It's the message, isn't it?
Yeah. It's all good.
Oh, that's amazing, Ryan. Thank you so much.
No worries. I'll try and dig out the. I'll say to you guys, if you are interested in the course, my email is Ryan. I'll put it in here, so you can just send me an email. Say I'm interested. I'll give you a link because I can't find it right now. Ryan@reviveyourself.co, or you can find me on Facebook at Ryan Martin. You'll see me in a green shirt. But it's been a pleasure talking to you. And yeah, I'll send you it over. Yeah, hopefully some of it resonated and you can put it in practice. Just remember as well, guys, like Rome wasn't built in a day. You don't have to be perfect. It's not about being perfect. It's about just making continual improvement. But the stricter you are this stuff, the quicker the body will heal. That's what I'd say.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Ryan. It's been really, really interesting. Totally up my street in every way. The only two things I don't really know about is detoxing and parasites, if I'm honest. But you know, it's just you totally speak my language, and it's just but more so. But more so.
Pleasure. Okay, darling. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks, you guys, for being. And I'll if you need anything, just give me a shout, and I'll send you the video over. Ciao,
thanks everybody, and I will see you all in the group.
Ciao.
See you all for now. Bye bye.